Hey everyone, I'm Sir Wade, and I'm going to show you how to connect Maya and Unreal Engine with the LiveLink plugin. I'm going to be using Maya 2025 to show that you can do it in what's currently the newest version, but it's going to be using Unreal 5.3 because the plugin is not updated for 5.4 as of the time of recording this video. So those are the versions I'm using. Let me jump into it. And thanks to Autodesk for sponsoring this video. More on that later. So here I've got two characters inside of Maya running around. One character, the knight, is just a live retarget of some motion capture data from Mixamo. And the vampire also is some motion capture data, but he's been baked onto an HIK rig and he's got animation layers and we can make adjustments in real time. So let's get that working over in Unreal. The first thing we need to talk about is the downloads. If you just Google Maya Unreal LiveLink plugin, you're gonna find a bunch of stuff that's not helpful. This first link takes you here. This is not what you want. Big old exclamation point. You don't want this. A little hint as to why. It's old. If you look at the dates, it's updated back in 2022, and the SEO, unfortunately, just serves it up to you first. If you follow all these first links that probably come up, you're gonna find a bunch of stuff about the Autodesk documentation, which is an old link as well. Get the latest version. Takes you back to that old thing. It's a 2019 article. So what do? If you go to that first link, the easiest way to find it is just to go up in the little search bar and just type in Unreal LiveLink, and that'll pull up this search and you'll see a whole bunch of different versions. Right now we're only up to 5.3. This is specifically the one you want, but if you watch this later on, that's how to find the most up-to-date version for 5.4 and so on, if they update it, which we hope they do. But for those of you watching, I'll have a link to this page down below. You just click it. Future-proofing this video. Hello, kitty cat. I am recording. So before we do anything, let's go to our Maya Preferences plugin manager, and we're just gonna type in live. You'll see that the Maya LiveLink plugin is here. It's already loaded. You're just gonna make sure that is the case. And now we'll head to Unreal really quick. Reiterating that I'm using 5.3.2 at the moment, but here's what we're gonna do. I find, oh my gosh. It's really raining in New York City right now. All right, so jumping into the actual process. Now the only prep work I've done, just to not make this video drag on, is I've already brought in the characters as skeletal mesh. Again, they're just Mixamo characters. I brought them in, they're here in their T-poses, and they're on the level. There's really nothing else that I've done. But if I go up to Window, Virtual Production, LiveLink, I find that it's a little bit better to start in Unreal, go to Source, and then under Maya LiveLink, we should see the computer that I'm using. So this is the name of my machine. So I hit AMD, because I'm using an AMD CPU. But if I click on that, it's now searching, but it's connected to a Maya session. Now, if you have multiple sessions of Maya open, it may or may not grab the right one because it's gonna grab whichever one you opened first and that the plugin was loaded in, and so it's gonna be looking for that. I just did this demo at Siggraph recently with Autodesk. I'll come back and talk about that later, but let's keep moving forward. So now in Maya, we can set this up, and it's pretty straightforward. If we go to File, Unreal LiveLink, and that will show up as long as the plugin is loaded. And right off the bat, I know we're in good shape because it says in the top right corner, connected. If it does not say connected, it has a little red thing that says not connected, something is missing, something is wrong. It might be, again, you might have two Maya sessions open and it's grabbed the wrong one. The plugin's not active in Unreal, whatever it might be. But if you don't see connected, you gotta go back. It's not gonna work from here. But what we wanna do is we're just going to say, great, what do we want to send to Unreal? In our case, we wanna send one of these characters. So let's start with the vampire. Which one is he? He is this one. So we're gonna grab the skeleton. We don't need to do a whole hierarchy. We just grab the top level here, add selection. It automatically sees it as a hierarchy. It might just be a transform for a single object, but here it's gonna do the whole hierarchy animation. To link it officially, we're gonna connect this little like plug connection icon. So we hit that and it pulls up a little menu that shows us everything in Unreal. So we want to pick the same skeleton, which is that one. And then it needs to put it to an animation sequence, which if you are familiar with Unreal, that'll make sense. If you're not familiar with Unreal, don't worry about it. I'll have videos on Unreal stuff coming soon. But basically, we need to take this animation data and we need to put it into some kind of a container inside of Unreal to link it to. And so that's what we're gonna do. We'll call this YouTube Vampire. And I'll just hit the little plus button here. If you already had one existing, you could select it. But if I don't, which you probably don't in this situation, you hit the plus button and it creates one. And then you say link. Does its little thing, and it just wrote the data to an animation sequence in Unreal and linked the session. So if I go back over to Unreal now you won't see anything happen right off the bat because an animation sequence in Unreal isn't in here by default. And so I'm going to just kind of skip ahead and create a blink level sequence. I'm gonna do it kind of a not great way. Don't do as I do. I'm just trying to do it quickly for this demo. So I'm gonna make sure my frame rates match. I'm animating in 24, so I'll keep it in 24. I'm going to say, all right, Now that I have a level sequence active, I'm going to bring my vampire in so that I can do something with him. And I'm going to add the YouTube animation, or the YouTube vampire animation sequence. Right off the bat, you can see he's snapped into a new location, and you can see that there's this little bar of animation data. If you're starting from scratch and you've got no animation over here yet, or you haven't set any keys, you won't see this little purple bar show up. It'll do nothing. It'll look like nothing happened. But if you start just doing stuff, you'll see that they are connected. It's just this bar comes from the existence of keyframe data in the timeline. So if you don't have that data yet, it won't look like there's anything. It won't look like there's a connection, but they are synced. At least they should be. And so if I go ahead and hit play in Maya, once he starts to move in Maya, he moves in Unreal. And you can see that the timelines are now locked together. So if I jump around, we can see those changes. So this is extremely helpful. So if you are doing, for example, marketing asset stuff, and you're doing poses of a Maya rig, and you want to see what it looks like lit and rendered in Unreal, in full context, final pixel, all that stuff, you just do that. You just do your pose testing and things like that. Or if you're working with multiple characters, we can do that too. So let's get both working. So I'll go back to File, and I'll open the Unreal Live link again. I don't really know why I closed it, but here we go. Keep it open. Now what I'll do is I'm gonna go to my little knight guy here. I'm gonna select him to figure out where he's at, right here. This one. So that's my knight skeleton. So if I go ahead and say add selection, it adds the breakdown skeleton. So I think this is just the raw motion capture clip from Mixamo. It's not even this, it's not even a retarget. I was incorrect before. It's not a retarget, it's literally just a downloaded like animation from Mixamo on this character. Anyway, it's in there now, but it needs to be connected to something. So I'll go ahead and hit the little connect button. I'll connect it to the Paladin, and I'll go ahead and call this Spin Kick 2, because you can see I was already doing one. Or, you know what, I guess for kicks, let's test and make sure it works to reconnect to an existing one. So I'll just go ahead and relink it to what I'd previously, hello kitty cat. So we should be good to go. Now, if I go ahead and bring in the Paladin into my sequencer as well, get some more room here, bring the Paladin in, and add animation, and add spin kick, and I'm gonna make sure that this is synced back at the beginning. Now, so if you hit play in one, they play in both, and I find the performance is better, typically if you're animating, just do it in Maya. So use the timeline in Maya. If I go ahead and say this arm is gonna go in an animation layer, and I will go ahead and lock my original layer. If I want to adjust like where this lives, as soon as I release, you can see that as soon as I release where it is in Maya, it updates it over in Unreal. And that change, oh, and you'll see it gets a little funky the first time you play it, but once you play it once, it kind of caches, it sends all the data over, and it works great. So you can see it was like vibrating in Unreal a second ago, but now when I play it, it's fine. So if you see it freaking out, just let it play through once, because it's like loading the new data. Anyways, that is how the LiveLink plugin functions. That's how to bring your characters, connect them. The prerequisites are to download the plugins, to set your characters up in Unreal so that there's actually a matching skeleton to go to. But you can do live retargeting, you can do a rigged animation, however you want to deform these characters. It doesn't matter the way you do it. Layers and graph editor and so on, whether the stuff is baked or not. It's just taking the skeletal rotation data found on those frames and sending it through to an animation sequence. And so if I disconnect all this stuff, go ahead and break the link, now they won't talk to each other. So I change this, it won't do anything, right? Because it sent all that data to an animation sequence. So it does still exist in Unreal on its own. And so as you saw with the Knight though, it's really easy to just reconnect it, and Maya ends up being the dominant of the two. So if you're wondering like, well, what happens if I make changes in both? Maya is the one that overwrites. And so if you want to make changes in Unreal, duplicate that animation sequence so that you have like a backup of it, and then you can go from there. This is something that a lot of people know is in Maya and Unreal, but a lot of people haven't actually seen it in action, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to show. I just did this demo at Siggraph for an hour, so I actually did a whole bunch of other stuff at the Autodesk booth at Siggraph. To show a whole bunch of cool stuff. So if you want to see more like this, let me know. Thank you to those who came by the Autodesk booth and checked out my live demo. And a big thank you to Autodesk for actually sponsoring my trip out to Siggraph. I got to go and check out a whole bunch of the stuff they had going on. The Vision series that Autodesk put together had a bunch of really interesting talks and cool workflows that people were showing based on the new technology that they're coming out with, as well as all the other cool stuff at Siggraph. Just to point some of it out, they had some really cool talks about different visual effects workflows, some different animated shorts. This is one of the Disney ones, how they're using OpenUSD for production and different things. This I heard was a really cool talk. I was giving a presentation during this time, so I didn't get to go, but I heard it was great. And in the notes below, I'm going to have a link to Maya Indie, which is the version of Maya that I have. It's the much, much less expensive version than the commercial license that our friends at Autodesk wanted to make sure everyone is aware of. Because if you have an educational license, you have that for free. But once you graduate or you leave school, you don't have a free copy of Maya anymore, but you don't need to buy the commercial version. You can get Maya Indie for like an actual standard price of the 3D tools that are out there. Houdini, Cinema 4D, Maya all have kind of a similar indie price that I just want to make sure everyone's aware of. So link to that down below. That's the version I've got, and it is full normal Maya. It's not like limited or anything weird. People always ask me that question. But anyways, huge thanks to Autodesk. Thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, I'm Sir Wade. Get in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.